All right, everyone, we are live with Stream of Consciousness with Dan. And today we've got a really special guest from the heart of Wisconsin dairy country. Kingston Creamery, out in Cambria, has been on an absolute tear lately, picking up major awards for their blue cheeses at ACS, the Wisconsin State Fair, and the World Dairy Expo. And the guy helping steer that ship is with us today. Nelson Schrock, General Manager at Kingston Creamery. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today, Nelson?
I am doing great. Thank you
Uh,
for the invitation and the opportunity to be present here today.
yeah, absolutely. The honor is all mine. As we touched on offline, the only thing that could be better is if we were actually together sharing some Kingston Creamery cheese, but the technology hasn't quite advanced to that yet, so that's okay. But yes, before we even talk cheese or into Kingston, I'd just love to hear kind of about the world you grew up in, your community, the work and the values that shaped you as a kid.
No, so I grew up in I'm a member of the Kingston Old Order Amish community. We are located in south central Wisconsin, between two major cities, Portage and Waupun, Wisconsin. Ironically, considered in the middle of nowhere on a beautiful rolling hills area. I grew up on a small dairy farm of approximately 25 cows. We are a family of 15 children, and my daily workload had consisted of hand milking these dairy cows and then shipping the milk in 10-gallon stainless steel milk cans to a local dairy. And dairy farming and then now cheese handling has been in my entire life, which has been so interesting and so rewarding.
Well, you've probably got some biceps on you hauling those milk tins. Geez. Um, so yeah, do
That
you
is
feel
correct.
like oh,
800
I'm oh man, that's wild. So do you think that really helped with your work ethic as, kind of not, now that you look back as an adult that, having that discipline and, I need to milk the cows every day. I need to deliver the milk every day. So just kind of touch on that work ethic because it really
I will.
shows through.
I will. And I actually love this part of the, kind of where this is going because we're just going to expand on it a little bit.
Yeah,
And
go for it.
so basically, these dairy farms that are hand milking these cows, you've got, on a basic average, 10 children per family. You've got the parents getting the children out of bed at this, dark hour in the morning called 4:30 a.m. And
Mm.
basically, what everybody's doing is heading out to the dairy barn and getting the cows, roused out of their beds into the stalls, feeding animals, bringing the horses in, the calves, the pigs, the chicken coop, and just getting the whole operation going by feeding animals, from these crops that are stored, especially in the winter, which is in our time frame right now, or in the summer, we're bringing them off pasture and bringing them into our dairy barn. And so the work ethic consisted of the basic need to nourish and be a good steward of the animals that are on these farms. They are not considered um, capitalistic elements. They are truly a member of the family. So the work ethic came from a basic need in your herding, singular act that was needed in that 1 hour that expressed itself morning and night. And thus, every farmer goes out into life every day going, what can I sustain? Versus, um, so many times I'm afraid people go, I have a pest. in my crops? What can I kill? In my, in our lifetime, we're about what can we sustain? And so that's through, again, I'm going to go back to the work ethic, but it's through the generation of, I'm sorry, the generous act of sustaining, preserving, and sometimes regenerating new properties that we purchase. So the work ethic truly comes from a basic need. There's an animal to feed. There's a herd to basically sustain. There's crops or land or something to nourish. And so that's where the work ethic comes in, is basic needs that surround us on the dairy farm all day long. And those translate to the basic needs in a dairy plant that are so interconnected with the farm and vertically, we're able to bring this good cheese, which I hope to talk about in a minute.
Oh, absolutely. That was so wonderfully put because I've met with several, not only other creameries, but other chefs as well on like ranches or things like that. And when you treat the animal, and in your case, as a member of the family, the end product is going to taste 1000% better than treating them, as a commodity. So I just think that was wonderfully put. And, you can really see that in see it and taste that in the finished product. So I really loved that answer very much.
Thank you.
Um, So obviously cheese is your passion today and the work you're known for, but I do just want to talk about, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, just food in general. Were there any particular dishes or traditions that really shaped you as a kid? Like, we're having this for dinner, like let's go, I'm ready. I'm pumped.
That's a very good approach. Thank you. So, when it came to food, the experience I had in growing up was that we're going to grow what we eat, and we're going to eat what we grow. And so our diet consisted, seasonally from, the food that was preserved for the winter months coming out of our
Hmm.
basement in mason jars, or in the summer, it was food coming in from our garden, our produce patch, our apple orchard, and so forth. And then one of the what I consider one of the most beneficial elements of a farm is not only do you get to interact with these resources, and namely those are the soil, the air, the animals, all of them bring forth new life or assist in bringing forth new life. And with these animals, one of their last acts was to sacrifice and become food for our family. So we enjoyed chicken, pork, beef, and more because of the sacrifice these animals made for the family. And it's not considered an act of vice. It's considered an act of virtue, which has to be explained because that can be misconstrued in today's world in many ways. But that is how truly life was on the farm. That's how we came as we grew up. So that came in the form of in the summertime, grilling outdoors as a family, or it came, as enjoying fresh new greens from our garden, or in the winter, many cases, mom was in the kitchen making, nourishing broths and soup and so forth. And then that's how we grew up, is that kind of diet, which is a real basic but very wholesome and nutritious element of our food.
Yeah, that's really neat to hear because I've my wife and I have been dabbling in gardening. We are not particularly very good yet, but there is something about growing fresh dill, growing fresh cucumbers, growing fresh tomatoes, and eating them, and they just taste 1,000,000 times better than anything you can get, at the store. It's the fruit of your
That is so
labor.
amazing.
Um, Yeah, I might need to get some tips from you. Our garden didn't do so well this year, but no, I just love that because yeah, it's just you eat a cherry tomato out of your garden right off the vine, and it just hits you just completely different than anything you can get at a store. So I love that.
So I have a
Um,
question. There's an element to that that I'd love to expand upon, and that has to
yeah,
do
go
with
for it.
the so there's many discussions going on in any legislative government that talks about how do we control animal waste in the form of manure and so forth. So I go back to our method of dairy farming, and the regenerative practices include, and also very heavily include, the benefit of animal waste, which is a misnomer. It truly is a soil enhancement. However, in our dairy farms, this, what we call nutrient streams coming from the animal, is turned into a compost, what we call a loafing shed, where this type of organic waste is introduced back into those nutrient streams. And in the springtime, prior to soil, there's a word I want, sorry, um, soil handling. In the wintertime, prior to soil handling, what we go through is we are taking this compost material and putting it out, loading it out into our fields, and working it into the soil through a process. But this compost material comes to the soil earthworm friendly,
Hmm.
not something that is, unmatching in pH or etc. It comes to the soil earthworm friendly. So when you're bringing this compost material to the soil, you're enhancing the nutrients that are already are there. You're also enhancing the take up, the crop take up of mineral or other nutrient uptake, which is why the end product of a tomato or more are going to be esteemed so much higher in value than something that was shipped 2,000, from 2,000 miles away. So
Hmm.
that's a very, very important part of gardening that takes away many of these so-called secrets and green thumbs is the basic, soil enhancements through nutrient values like you're talking about coming off our farms. Thank you.
Yeah, that was great. And I don't know why this came into my head actually, but you're just talking about, using the resources we have. And I just remember watching like documentaries of, tribes in Africa. They're literally using um, cow manure for fuel, like just using everything you possibly can in the most efficient way possible. So, yeah, that's amazing. I love it so much.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
And so, yeah, so hearing about kind of the food and traditions you grew up with, it's really kind of helped me understand the way you approach your work today. So, I want to shift into the Kingston Creamery itself. If you could just give a brief to mid-brief history of how it kind of came about and kind of where it is right now.
Thank you so much. So Kingston Community was established in the year of 1976. The reason the Amish chose to populate this particular area was the available dairy milk markets for small herds that wanted to ship milk in milk cans. In a matter of 6 years, these particular markets had all transferred to the more modern bulk tank method. And the Amish community said, we do not want to follow the mantra of get big or get out. We truly want to preserve and sustain our family farm through agricultural occupations. So let's embrace the idea of processing our own milk into cheese. And the other thing that became clear as we now study history was when the pupil was ready, the teacher came. So in that same time frame, we had a non-Amish person approach our community and he said, I really want to make cheese at a dairy plant that I own locally. Would you guys provide the milk and the labor, and I'll be the business part of this.
Mm-hmm.
So this non-Amish knew how to make blue cheese, and the Amish had the milk supply and the labor. So in due time, the Amish learned how to make blue cheese, which was considered a high-end specialty cheese in the early 1980s. And so the first generation of our cheesemakers in our community were taught the method of making cheese. And then in our case, they learned the art and the skill and the science of making blue cheese. And also, ironically, one of the reasons we continue to make blue cheese is it is difficult to expand out and make other kinds of cheese that are not using ingredients that are equal to blue cheese. Namely, one of
Mm-hmm.
those is the Penicillium roqueforti strain of mold that we're adding onto cheese making. So we're adding mold, which is a protein, and it is a enhancement for what I would call the breaking down of the food in human beings' stomachs. So it basically is a benefit. It's a beneficial protein that allows good nutrition. But for
Cool.
cheese making, we had the mold, we had the blue cheese, and in due time, we were hitting markets on a national basis, and that allows us to where we are today. And the very act of cheese making, we can now quote multi-generational. We can quote the art, the skill, and the science. And blending those three elements together equals the cheese that we're putting out in our coolers today and then putting out on our packages. It's the final sum of all the parts is having the ability to talk to people and have them taste the wonderful, very high quality, very creamy, good mouthfeel, long finish, kind of blue cheese that we're talking about today. So that's how we got into blue cheese.
That's great. You answered my next question already. Um,
All right.
because I feel like we talked about this a little offline, but blue cheese can be very polarizing for some people. I personally love it and think it's delicious. Blue cheese, gorgonzola, all of that. So why do you think people misunderstand blue cheese? And yeah, basically that's really my question. Why do you think it's so it's just a polarizing cheese in my opinion?
So the world of blue cheese, and as people were growing up, there are medicinal notes and also ketone flavors that can be challenging for that first time consumer that was never introduced to any kind of flavorful cheese. It's almost equal to the fact that when you grab an apple off an apple tree that's in the backwoods 40 acres area, you have such a nutrient dense apple compared to something you buy at the grocery store at times that you find it daunting to eat the apple from the backwoods. However, you have much more nutrition. So I go back to blue cheese in general. It has been talked about in many aromatics, and then also a certain touch and feel. And so it was limiting to an audience of adults, namely 55 years or older, used primarily in salads or maybe in meat products, and still is so used today. What Kingston has done, though, is they went back to the recipe and they said, let's tone it down. Let's bring some honor back to the blue cheese in the deli, and let's revive this forgotten deli cheese, because there are so many wonderful things that you can do with blue cheese in charcuterie, in pairing, and in just basic snacking. that it's amazing. So what we've done, organization, is we've toned it down and we've said, let's not hit it so hard in the face. Let's have the young moms bring this cheese into their kitchens. Let's introduce this to the college age people. Let's invite them how to charcuterize or to snack or to pair. And this is happening. This is amazing. This cheese that we are producing today is very approachable. We still ask people if they're a certified blue cheese hater to um, consider taking one sample followed up with sample number two, just to really give it an honest try. And we have been very successful in turning these blue cheese haters into Kingston blue cheese lovers because of the toned down approach. You still have the blue cheese flavor. You still have the ketones. You have a modest element of the medicinal, but now you've got a complete flavor party going on that allows for a general snacking with a chilled red grape and equal parts of blue cheese is taking snacking to an absolutely new level. Or if you're doing charcuterie, you grab your favorite cracker, you're taking a chunk of the, any one of our blue cheeses, smoothing this in a dab of honey or mild hot honey. You've now just made an amazing entree or appetizer benefit to a main meal. So these are amazing. And now we're introducing it to a whole new population group that is just embracing it. It's very exciting.
Well, I'm getting so hungry right now. Oh, it reminds me of, have you seen what the movie Ratatouille? Nelson?
I'm here.
Oh, sorry. Did you see the movie Ratatouille?
Oh, I have not seen it. No.
Oh, you need to. Oh man, it just reminded me of a scene from that. But just he was like he took this grape and this cheese, and it literally brought me back to that scene in the movie when you were talking about pairing. But well, no, that was so well put, and everyone really does need to just explore not just blue cheese, but just different foods. Don't be scared of trying Indian food or maybe North African food or Middle Eastern food. Just give it a chance. So, what I really want to talk now is I want to kind of strip it back to the basics. Um, Without giving away anything proprietary, I don't want to share all your company secrets, but could you just walk us through the basic process of how to make a blue cheese?
I'd love to do that. The process
Let's do
of
it.
taking a fluid milk that has approximately 87% of liquid and 14 to 15% of solids is very unique. And I always tell people that everybody can make cheese, but not everybody can make delicious, high quality cheese. So the first basic act of taking this milk that is delivered to our creamery from our dairy farms is to give it heat. And for us, we are very conscientious of taking every step we can to minimize a food safety risk. So we heat the milk past the temperature that it was originally in when it came from the cow. So we take the milk, we heat it up, and then we cool it back down to the basic temperature of a cow, which is approximately 90 degrees Fahrenheit. This milk, this milk is then put into a large tank called a vat. And once this milk has reached the level of where we can now stir that milk, we add our culture starter. This starter now becomes active, and it attaches itself to the proteins and the butter fats, and then preserving the mineral content that originally came from the milk. As this culture starts attaching itself to these solids, you start having an impact on how those will eventually break down and become flavor or body or texture. And as this vat continues to fill, these cultures are working at a rapid pace. The amount of energy that is being introduced in that short period of time is amazing. If you would put it under a microscope, you just have these blinding flashes of activity going on. As the vat fills to a full level, agitation is then stopped, and this complete vat of milk is allowed to gel or set. In cheesemakers' terms, we would call it the vat is setting. This full vat of milk and cultures is now allowed to set for a while, and then the cheesemaker is taking his knives, or basic what we call curd knives, and he's cutting the curd. The curd goes through a healing process. Now you have curds and whey. The curds and whey are agitated now again, allowed to a specific and designed firmness, moisture content, pH level that are all considered proprietary information for the cheesemaker that is making cheese for that specific kind. And as this curd and whey reaches the certain chemical or microbiological requirements, this is then put over onto a cheese form that allows the whey to drain, and the curd begins to knit and making the style of cheese you're making. For us, it's blue cheese, a semi-soft cheese retaining a higher level of moisture. So we are not looking for a high level of knit. We are looking for a medium level of knit, where this cheese is now going through a knitting process and preparing itself to go into the next phase, which is salt brine. Our cheese goes through a salt brine for a specific amount of time. The cheese is then removed from the salt brine. We are then in a next step. We are piercing the side of the cheese, allowing oxygen to get inside and start what we call an oxidation process, starting to give that mold the final, on its final journey is to give it oxygen. That mold will continue to develop
Oh,
for a 8 to 12-week period of time, which is the mold expressing itself in flavor and in view and in body and texture. This cheese is then converted into the final package. It may be sold as a wheel, may be sold as a wedge, or it may be sold as a crumble. And that's the basic steps of making cheese.
that was just perfect. It almost sounds like you're a professional, Nelson. Almost.
Well, thank you so
No,
much.
but so no, so for everyone out there, when you're eating cheese, remember all of those steps. You're not simply, going to the store and buying a block of cheese. These are professional, super talented, attention to detailed people that are, you know, delivering you that end product. So yeah, that was pretty awesome. And are you ready to have some fun? Because this is my most fun segment that we do.
Yes, I am absolutely ready to do that.
All right. So it's the Mount Rushmore of cheese. Just your four personal favorite types of cheese, not necessarily like the best or the most famous, just the ones that you love or the ones that mean something to you. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I want you to go first, please. Lead on.
Okay, um, well, I had the pleasure of speaking to Joey Widmer of Widmer's Cheese Cellars. I'm sure you're probably familiar with them.
I am, yes.
My favorite cheese of all time is brick cheese. Just a mild brick cheese. You can put it on a deli sandwich. You can get the aged and pair it, on a charcuterie board. I just love brick cheese. That's my number one.
That is amazing.
So
My
what do
number
you
one
got?
cheese, my number one cheese that I love to just hold in my hand, look at it, and just take it in with all of my senses is a whole milk creamy Munster. Not necessarily so much loyal to who makes it, but it has to be Munster coming from a cow that is producing whole milk, not skimmed, not fortified, but it's whole milk going into this cheese called Munster.
Oh, Nelson,
My
you're
favorite
killing me.
way of
That was my
consuming.
number two.
Amazing. The
Oh. So is when I'm
Munster is
at the
on a grilled
store,
cheese.
when I'm at the store, how do I know that it's, that whole not skimmed cow thing if I'm not getting like a specialty Munster? How do I know that? Is there a way?
There's a there's a modest trick that's going to get you close, and that is if you touch and feel that cheese. And if you're touching that cheese and it's not yielding, that means they removed a portion of the fat and made it a higher protein cheese that is going to express itself like a Snickers candy bar. Whereas if you have the whole milk and you have the cream, you're going to be able to indent and give pressure. It's going to, it's going to give, and you're going to have a more softer cheese.
Mm.
And the second thing is the appearance. If you're able to see the cheese, you're going to see that there's more fat. You're just going to know, or you're going to see, oh, there's fat missing here. And one of them is more of a, like a, think about a liner board or a piece of cardboard. It's just going to have it, to express itself like that as a high protein cheese. Not calling it bad, but if it has more fat, you're going to have more of a buttery look in that white part of that cheese, and it's truly amazing.
Gotcha.
Truly amazing.
Well,
And put
since
that
you
on a
already,
grilled cheese paired with your favorite soup, you are going to brand new heights.
yep. Well, since you stole my number two, I'll give you the chance to do your number two now.
My number two is for me to break open a wheel of breezy blue from Kingston. It is a
Oh,
kind of cheese that has absolutely no competition anywhere. And this cheese is put onto a lemon wafer. My favorite brand is the Quadratini lemon wafer, and it has become the most preferred dessert to any meal that I may have.
I might have to try that. That
You
sounds
would be amazed.
really good. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, my number three, I actually was just introduced to it the other day, because like I said, I was talking to someone at Carvalli and they sent us some cheese and I was eating their fontina and I just made it in a simple like pasta bake, but that cheese melted so beautifully. It was so flavorful but not overpowering. And so yeah, fontina just recently got onto my Mount Rushmore this week.
That is amazing. That is an experience that I love to have. I've not been introduced to a Fontina that I enjoyed, and I will have to seek that particular cheese from Carvalli. I know the company very well. That would be
Yeah,
exciting.
it was very tasty.
So my number three, which is in the last 10 months, my number three cheese is a camembert that is produced from the Old Order Amish community in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. There's a young man with his family owning a small little dairy plant called Clover Valley Creamery. They are producing camembert made from cow's milk and then a second one made from sheep's milk. This cheese, if you take this cheese and put it onto your favorite cracker and drizzle with honey or even hot honey. This cheese has taken charcuterie and snacking to a brand new height. That is my definite favorite for number three.
I can appreciate that. And so I'm going to plug you since I have to choose a Kingston cheese on here. And honest to God, I've had bread cheese before, but I really want to try the I don't even know if I can pronounce this. The Justo?
Yes, it's pronounced Ustolapo,
Oh, sorry, Ustolapo. But I was doing some
as
research on
a
it and it sounds
broad term.
amazing. I want some so bad. Oh, it's got that.
Usto
Oh, because
cheese
it's oh,
is a try cubing it. It is amazing.
oh my goodness. I'm so hungry, Nelson.
So my number four cheese is the aged cheddar from Widmer's Cheese Cellars, 8-year-old cheddar, which is absolutely amazing. From a flavor pattern, you've got the ultimate combination of sweetness, a little bit of salt, although it's low. Then you have the beautiful cheddar, long cheddar finish that is combined with a natural, slight bitter flavor that continues to linger and just provide this party of flavors. And it's the result of a family that cares about their soil health, the animal health, and then their passion of cheese making, which is producing this final product. It also expresses the talent of a cheesemaker as he continues to monitor the aging of his cheese that continues to enhance that beautiful flavor balance across that flavor board that is so important as you age out cheese. And it's just put this cheese on a favorite cracker and then a little bit of maybe a meat, a summer sausage, or a salami. Beautiful pairing. And then for me, while I don't do alcohol, I do fruit juices, apple juice, grape juice, and so forth. What a beautiful snack on a warm um, summer day afternoon. It's just so beautiful.
Oh, I mean, yeah, you can't go wrong with an aged cheddar. I actually have, I don't think an 8 year in the fridge right now, but I do think I have at least a 4 year old aged cheddar there. But yeah, so before I sign off, because like I said, I've got to talk to Marika here in 4 minutes. I want to give you the floor
Amazing.
for the last couple minutes to just tell people where they can buy your cheese and how they can support you because you guys are just awesome, and I want everyone in the state of Wisconsin, everyone in the country, everyone in the world to taste your cheese.
That's amazing. Thank you. So, Kingston Creamery line of cheese can be purchased obviously on site at our little store. It can be purchased through web orders that exists at kingstoncoop.org. The line of cheeses can also be purchased at Outpost co-op stores, Willie's Street co-op stores in Madison, or Fromagination, a little cheese store on the square, but doing dynamic
Oh, I've
things.
been there before. That place is sweet.
That's amazing. And then the Sendix grocery stores, along with the Metcalf stores that are in the state of Wisconsin. And then there's national presence across the U.S. in different pockets. So we're heavy in Sprouts farmers markets and many of the Albertson banners, like the Safeways and the United Albertson stores and things like that. So those are some real prominent places where our products can be purchased at.
Well, you heard it
The
from the
most fresh
horses.
cheese,
Oh, go ahead.
the most fresh cheese experience that you will, experience yourself is if you buy directly from our store through web orders or through an on-site visit. That's going to be your most fresh cheese experience. So go ahead.
Oh, yeah, you heard it from the horses, or should I say the cow's mouth.
You
Um,
did, yes.
but no, Nelson, I thank you so much for joining me today. it's been really such a joy just hearing about your story, the traditions behind Kingston Creamery, how much cheese means to you, because it means so much to me, and what you're doing out there in Cambria. Just congratulations to you and everyone at Kingston on the awards and recognition you've earned. It's just clear how much care and craftsmanship goes into every wheel, every brick, every wedge, every crumble. Um, so yeah, so for the listeners out there, heed Nelson's words, check out either those retailers or order directly online, and I'll post everything in the description. For people in Wisconsin and beyond, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.